So you might be like me and you see the new BES support and you think to yourself, well, that's pretty cool, right? It's like an old archetype that's completely unplayable and completely garbage, and then they suddenly give them actual good support that makes the deck, well, at least playable. Well, you go and look at the structure deck and you realize that, well, it's a normal structure deck. It's not even one of those that you get a copy for free when it releases. It's just a normal structure deck that you have to pay gems for and that you can only get a single copy of. You can't even, get a copy of it for free like some of the other recent structure decks. If you want to get more than one copy of every card, you need to pay money. And, well, I don't want to pay money, and so do probably most of you guys watching the video. So, well, I've come up with a free-to-play version of this deck that uses minimal cards from outside the structure deck, and that kind of compensates for the fact that you're only playing with one structure deck. As you can see, I only got a single copy of this structure deck because I personally don't want to spend any money on this as well, because honestly it's not a very good deck, even though it just got a lot of new support. But for people who want to try this deck out just like me, this is something that you can try to build even with only one copy of the structure deck. So here is the list. The deck name is in Japanese because that's the language I use on my mobile app, and then that's the name of the structure deck when I copied the structure deck over. And I made a little bit of changes. I removed all of the bad cards that are not part of the BES archetype. And something that you might notice is that we're playing 3 copies of Cyber Dragon Core, and the reason why we're playing it is because this card is actually a searcher for your deck, because Cyber Dragon Core is able to search a copy of Cyber Repair Plant, and this card, fun fact, searches any light machine, and one of your starters is a light machine. One of your best ones, in fact, is a light machine. So what you do is you normal summon this card, you search the Cyber Repair Plant, and then you link summon a copy of Salamangrate Almirage, I can't speak, and now you have a Cyber Dragon in your graveyard, which means you can use your Cyber Repair Plant from your hand, and then use the first effect to add a light machine monster from your deck to your hand. And well, most of the time you will be adding a copy of your the Ranger Core, and this card is able to summon itself by revealing another BES monster and then search a spell trap. So that gets your entire combo going. So let's actually talk about what this deck does for anybody who hasn't played the deck before. So the new support basically makes this a kind of a main deck spam deck. So it uses main deck monsters as the boss monsters. They spam a lot of big monsters, and then the spells give them protection, and then you get quick effect pops. So that's basically it. And the gimmick of the BES monsters on their own is that they have counters on themselves, and when they battle they remove counters until they don't have any more counters left, and then they destroy themselves. But that isn't really like the main focus of this deck anymore, because the deck got a lot of new support that basically makes them just boss monster turbo from the main deck, and then just pop a whole bunch of cards as a quick effect during either player's turn. So let's have a look at the skill first. So BES Rush is the exclusive skill that we got. It locks us into special summoning BES monsters, notably not normal summoning. So you can normal summon Cyber Dragon Core and then link summon Almirage because it is from the extra deck. And even though you can summon anything from your extra deck, you're not locked into anything, you kinda don't really want to make anything from your extra deck usually, because nothing really synergizes with making generic stuff from your extra deck. You much rather have a whole bunch of BES monsters for your boss monster to be able to pop. So the other 2 effects are send a boss rush or a spell trap that mentions it from your hand or face up field to your graveyard, and then you can add a BES monster from your deck to your hand. So this makes all 3 of your BES spells, all of them become starters. And the second effect can be activated on turn 2 onward. If you control no monsters, no cards in your field zone, you can set a BES Zalos card from your deck. Otherwise, you draw a card or add a Super BES Metal Slave from your deck to your hand. So basically, if you go second, you get to add the field spell directly to your field zone, or if you already have the field spell, you will be able to add the big boss monster directly to your hand instead. And discard, let's talk about discard. Super BES Metal Slave is both your main endboard piece going first and also your main way of clearing upper boards going second. So this card can be special summoned from your hand by sending up to 5 level 10 or lower BES monsters with different names from your hand or deck to your graveyard. It sends for cost, but nothing really synergizes too much with the send. Like, there are other things that, revive from the graveyard, but the send itself doesn't really gain too much for you. You have to, like, pair it with other cards to actually gain value with the cards that you send. So you send any amount of big ships, and then you special summon this card from your hand, and then you place counters on this card equal to the number of cards that you sent by that effect. And then you can only special summon this card with this effect once per turn. But if you have a way to special summon it again, you can do it by using your field spell, which is able to special summon a BES from your hand. Also, once per chain, importantly, not once per turn, once per chain, as a quick effect, remove a counter from this card, then target 2 face-up cards on the field, and then including 1 BES monster you control, and destroy those 2 cards. So this is why, even though not too many things synergizes with the send effect of this card, you still want to send as many as you could possibly send, just because that gives you a lot more counters for it to use its pop. So you can use the pop effect both as a way to disrupt your opponent if you go first, or as a board wipe effect pretty much when you go second, because you can use this effect a lot of times repeatedly, and including using it on itself. It can pop itself and then pop another card on your opponent's side of the field. BS Derringer Core is the main starter, kind of, for this deck. So you can reveal 1 other BES monster from your hand, and then special summon this card from your hand, and then place 3 counters on this card. And during the main phase, as a quick effect, you can use it on both your and your opponent's main phase. You can activate one of these effects. The first one lets you add a boss rush or a spell trap that mentions boss rush. So if you use it in your own turn, you will be using the search effect. In your opponent's turn, you will be using the second effect, which allows you to summon a level 9 or lower BES monster from the graveyard. So pretty much anything except for itself or the big Metal Slave. And then we have a bunch of other BES monsters, which are honestly not really good, but we just need a lot of names for us to be able to send with the level 11 ship. So this is one of the better ones. It summons itself for free if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, and it has the shared effect pretty much with all of the BES ships that adds counters to itself when it is summoned, and then it cannot be destroyed by battle, but every time it battles it removes a counter, and if you cannot remove any counters, it gets destroyed. The BES Big Core Mark III is your main way of getting your ships back into your deck, because it has a graveyard effect of banishing this card from your graveyard and then shuffling all BES monsters from your graveyard into the deck. So if you play more copies of the level 11 guy, or honestly you can also use that effect while you only have 1 level 11, because it shuffles the boss monster back in the deck as well, and then you can search it again to your hand and then summon it again. But this is basically your main way of being able to summon the big Metal Slave a second time during a game, because every time you summon it, you dump a whole bunch of ships from your deck to your graveyard, so you need a way to put them back into your deck, and this is the way that you will be able to do that. A copy of a Big Core Mark II, this guy can special summon itself without tributing if you control the monsters, and then basically has the same ship effect. And then we have the original Big Core, it's not very good. We have a copy of Tetran. This card has the additional effect of being able to pop back row, which is pretty good actually. It's one of the better ships that we have. And a copy of Crystal Core. This card can, once per turn, change an attack position monster your opponent controls to a defense, which is fine, I guess. And for our last ship, we have a copy of Covered Core, which coin flips. It's pretty funny, but it does have a higher attack than many of the other ships, like the Tetran and Crystal Core and Big Core and Mark II. So this has one of the slightly higher attacks than the other bad ships. So I guess that's like the reason why you play it. But otherwise, it's just there for more names, basically. And we have 3 copies of Cyber Dragon Core, as we talked about. This card can search your main starter, because you can use it to grab your copy of Cyber Repair Plant, which searches any light machine. For spells, we're playing 1 copy of Terraforming for more consistency to grab our field spell. And speaking of the field spell, we have a copy of BES Zalos. This card is what makes this entire deck work. So this card, when activated, adds a Boss Rush to your hand. Boss Rush is not a very good card. I guess we'll talk about it right now. It can only be activated during a turn that you have not normal summoned or set. So usually you just add it and you send it to the graveyard immediately with your skill. So you pretty much don't even activate this card. Anyway, this card, BES Zalos, boosts all of your monsters' attack by 500 and also gives them a really strong protection effect. It cannot be, your monsters cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects. It gives them pretty much the Ancient Gear Fortress levels of protection. So the playstyle is also pretty similar, as you activate the field spell as like the first thing you do, and then you summon your monsters, and then your opponent can't interact with your monsters, and then you can kind of just beat over your opponent's stuff. And just a slight unfortunate thing about this card is that it's a field spell. Even though that means it can be searched by Terraforming, that also means that you can't like stack multiple copies of this card like you can do with Ancient Gear Fortress. So something you can do with Ancient Gear Fortress is that when you play Ancient Gears, you can activate multiple fortresses, and then your opponent will be required to remove every single one of them before they can interact with your monsters. But for the field spell, they can just remove the field spell and then get rid of your monsters. But regardless, this is still a really good card. Also, once per turn, you just get to summon a BES monster from your hand for free. And every time a BES monster is normal special summoned, you add a counter to it, and this is treated as a counter that is added by the monster's own effect. And it is also not once per turn, so every time you summon a guy, it gets an additional counter, which is pretty good because if you special summon the bad ships, they don't get a counter because they only get counters when they are normal summoned. We have a copy of Boss on Parade. This card, when activated, can add any BES monster from your deck to your hand, so it's basically another starter. Once per turn, during your main phase, you can destroy a monster in your hand or field, and then you special summon a light machine monster with 1200 attack and 1000 or less defense from your deck to either field. This is not a good effect, and we are also not playing any targets for it, so this effect might as well not exist. Also, you can banish this card from your graveyard and then place a Boss Rush from your deck or graveyard face up to your field. So you will never be activating Boss Rush directly from your hand. You will pretty much always be using the graveyard effect of Boss on Parade to activate it from the graveyard. And even then, you actually don't really use this card that often because this card is really that good. It has an end phase effect that summons another BES monster, but I mean, that's during the end phase, and that's pretty slow. So yeah, that's not a very good card. And finally, 3 copies of Cosmic Cyclone, just because the boss monsters pops face-up cards, so you kind of want backward removal to be able to get rid of a face-down set spell traps. For the extra deck, we don't really actually need to summon anything from the extra deck because the boss monster gets better with more main deck monsters you have on your field. So you can realistically play anything from the extra deck, but the only thing that you must play for this version is Salamangreat Almirage, because this card is needed to link away the Cyber Dragon Core for it to be in the graveyard so that you can then activate the Cyber Repair Plan that requires you to have a Cyber Dragon in your graveyard. So yeah, with that said, let's have a look at some replays real quick. Okay, in our first game, we're going first, and this is basically to show you what the combo looks like when you go first. Spoiler alert, our opponent will scoop before their turn begins, but this is just to show you what your turn 1 would look like. So we drew both Terraforming and Cyber Dragon Core, which is pretty nice. We can activate the field spell first and add a Boss Rush, and then we can normal summon the Cyber Dragon Core, add a copy of Repair Plan to our hand, and then we can link that off and make a copy of Salamangrate Almirage. And then now that we have a Cyber Dragon in our graveyard, we can activate the repair plan to add the star to our hand. And then because we also have a boss rush, we can also send that to the graveyard and add the boss monster. And now we can use our Metal Slave to summon itself, and then summon our boss monster, the level 11 guy, and then we can get a whole bunch of counters, and then use the effect of the Ranger Core to add a spell trap. We can add one for follow-up, and then yeah, that's the end board. So that doesn't look like a lot, but because the boss monster can pop cards non-once per turn, it pops every single time once per chain. You are actually able to pop at least 3 cards, 4 if you want to pop itself as well, because you have 3 on your field, and then the Ranger Core can summon back another guy during their main phase, so that's 4 total pops. And then everything is protected by the field spell, so your opponent cannot target them, your opponent can't destroy them by card effects, so it's actually a pretty strong end board, and every single monster you have is pretty big as well, so they can't really easily beat them over by battle. Okay, this is a second game that we are playing, and this time we're going second, so let's have a look at what this deck is able to do if you lose the coin flip. And I won't pretend that this deck is very good, it's not, and even more so that we're not playing the optimal version with multiple copies of the big guy, but we still have to draw it, so let's see what we can actually do. Our opponent is playing a very frightening deck. They're playing Altergeist, and that deck has a whole lot of follow-up, and I don't think we can beat the follow-up, but we can still try. Our opponent will be using the Graveyard effect of Millseek to search, and then they're basically going to set a whole bunch of trap monsters with their skill. This is one of the decks that synergizes really well with the trap monster skill alongside other decks like Eldritch. And then they're going to basically link climb using the monsters, and also they can even link climb higher because they have all of these trap monsters that they set off of their skill. So they can also link climb higher than they usually could in an Altergeist deck. So they're going to make multiple copies of Hextia, which is very frightening because Hextia negates spell traps. And we really, really need the field spell to be able to resolve, to be able to even do anything, pretty much, because the field spell is what makes all of our monsters really, really frightening. Without the field spell, this deck kind of doesn't really do too much. You can Cosmic Cyclone to force out one of their back row. I know that's a manifestation, so we'll get rid of it, because if we don't, they will be able to summon our monster to the link point, and then that's another spell trap negate. So now priority is to kind of force out these 2 link 2s so that they couldn't use them to negate our field spell. We'll first use the big guy to try to pop the one that's over there so that it loses the negate. And then he summons another guy to the link point, we'll pop that as well so that now the link 2 doesn't point to anything, so he won't be able to negate anything. We'll be able to activate the field spell from our deck, and then because we already drew the boss rush, we don't add anything to our hand, unfortunately, but that's still okay. We can use our skill to pitch the boss rush, and then summon the Ranger Core, and then add a bunch of counters, and then use the field spell to summon the thing to our hand. A bit of a misplay, because I could have used the Graveyard effect of the Big Core Mark III. As you can see in the graveyard, we could have used the Mark III and then shuffle back the level 11, and then instead of adding the Cannon Core, we could have added back the level 11 and then summoned it from our hand using the field spell, and then we would have a quick effect pop during our opponent's turn. But now, because we only run 1 copy and I didn't do that, and kind of misplayed a bit, we now end on pretty much no interactions. But this board is still pretty hard to crack just because of our field spell protecting all of our guys from being targeted and destroyed. But Altergeist is a deck that doesn't really care about all of those things, and also they have a sphere mode, so they can just, tribute over all of our stuff. But they won't even do that because they have an in-archetype out to our guys, and that's by using a copy of Prima Banshee, and then just making a Memory Gand, and then just boosting its own attack into like 7 bajillion, and then just attacking with our guy. I mean, even if we had the metal slave on our field, we probably couldn't beat the follow up anyway. But yeah, uh, yeah, that's it. Bye.